Should I have a birthday party this year? Yes, girl, totally do it. You only turn 25 once. And I know a promoter who can hook us up. Oh, who? Let's just say he runs this town. Eric Adams? What? He's my god uncle. Seriously, guys, what if no one shows up? Rain or shine, I'll be there. Me too. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Y'all are the best. Okay, I'm having a party. Yes! It's gonna be so lit. I know the club hates to see us coming. I am so excited. Go shawty, it's your birthday. Oh.
Hey girl, so excited for the party, but Mercury is in Gatorade, so I gotta stay in tonight.
Oh.
I could get a moonburn.
We gonna party like it's...
Happy birthday! I know I said I could make it out tonight, but there's been a change in plans. I'm watching an underwater basket weaving competition, and it's getting really good. But have so much fun!
We gon' sip Bacardi like it's your...
I so wish I could make it tonight, but my god uncle is going through a really tough time right now, so I just want to be there to support him. Woo! Who want to do a shot?
Hey guys, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to discuss Gen Z's ongoing friendship crisis. There's been a lot of discourse, media coverage, and other creators weighing in on this, so I thought I would add my 2 cents in the bucket. I was especially inspired by my friend Rumi's recent video about friendship amongst Gen Z. Loneliness is more common than ever for Americans of all backgrounds, but it's especially hit young people hard, and one study even declared that Gen Z is the loneliest generation, with roughly 80% saying that they experienced feelings of loneliness over the last year, compared with 72%, 60%, and 45% of millennials, Gen X, and baby boomers, respectively. Experts say that there isn't one particular thing that has caused this deluge of loneliness. There's so many different factors that contribute to it, such as lack of affordable housing, job insecurity, and living in a constant state of comparison thanks to social media. It's even gotten so bad that some Gen Zers are making friendship applications on Facebook. There are some indisputable elements that have exacerbated this widespread loneliness epidemic, particularly the isolation we faced during the pandemic, but now more than ever, there has been discussions about the fact that sometimes this loneliness and lack of connection stems from the fact that some people simply aren't good friends or community members. People are flaky, or they set unrealistic expectations and call them boundaries. They're like, I only have the capacity to converse on weekdays that start with the letter T between the hours of 3 and 5 p.m. Otherwise, please feel free to send a text that I will respond to in 2 weeks. Like, bitch, are you my friend or a crystal shop in Williamsburg? Lately, people online have been pointing out this disconnect between what people claim they desire, friendship and community, and their actions, which are isolating and selfish. We saw this last year with the "what happened to cashiers saying hello" debate on TikTok. The hypocrisy boils down to the fact that everyone wants community, but not many people are willing to inconvenience themselves for it. Last year, I came across the concept of low maintenance friends, which is kind of an unsettling string of words, because when I think of low maintenance, I think of a hairstyle or a plant or maybe a pet like a goldfish. A low maintenance friend is the kind of person you don't communicate with often and don't really see, but they aren't particularly bothered by the lack of closeness. When you get together, it's like nothing ever happened. And while these kinds of friendships can be the results of people having busy schedules or living far apart, sometimes it's just because nobody wants to reach out. For a lot of people, it's easier to go home and curl up with your phone rather than put yourself out there to see a friend. Gen Z has normalized what writer and TikTok creator Tell the Bees calls the mainstreaming of loserdom, which is characterized by young people who unabashedly admit that their main hobby is staying home, laying in bed, scrolling on their phone, and watching TV. This type of person is usually a DoorDash demon, someone so committed to bed rotting that they can't be bothered to leave their house to go to the McDonald's drive-thru. And a different side of this same coin are people who have an American Psycho-like commitment to self-optimization and self-care to the point that they don't have a social life. People who are so rigid to their morning and night routine that it impairs them from having any type of spontaneous social connection.
There is this wave of intolerance to discomfort that has overcome Gen Z. I posted a video yesterday where I was saying that going to bed at 9 p.m. every single night and reading is not protecting your peace. Oftentimes it's actually just developing an allergy to chaos, an allergy to the spontaneity of human existence.
The point is, Gen Z is in our late teens and 20s, and these are supposed to be the golden years of friendship before anyone has families, demanding jobs, or the plethora of endless responsibilities that define adulthood. So in today's video, I want to talk about navigating friendship as a Gen Zer. And this is going to be a little bit less Mama Let's research and more just me talking about my experience in life. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Atlantic article titled "Americans Need to Party More." Only 4% of Americans attended or hosted a social event on an average weekend or holiday in 2023, which is a 35% decrease since 2004. Now, to be completely honest, I was 4 in 2004, so I'm not necessarily going to sit here and say what happened to all the parties because I don't remember. Basically, the author of the article argues that you should aim to host at least 2 parties this year to get America's party rates back up because all of us are depressed and have no social life. I will say though, as someone who is Gen Z, I actually feel like in the past year or so, I've been going to more parties than ever. And I really think it's because of one specific thing, which is the app Partyful. If y'all are not familiar with Partyful, it's basically an event planning app where you can create a flyer for your event, you create a cute little poster, and you can invite people on the app if you have their phone number or if you've like been to the same event as them before, you can invite people. Basically, it's like Facebook events, I've been told. My generation skipped Facebook events. I just like was never someone who really was on Facebook in a meaningful way. I missed that. That feels a little bit more millennial core to me. I know some Gen Zers were or on Facebook, but I kind of missed that. So it's a very similar concept to Facebook events where you can just like invite a bunch of people, invite a bunch of mutuals to your party. I think it's also comparable to like different Evite services like Paperless Post. But Partyful is distinctly Gen Z. Like the aesthetic of it is just very like young, hip, cool. Like their copy is cheeky and like, you know, we're the cool friend. I remember the first time I used Partyful, I was so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the perfect way to optimize inviting people to something because all of the info is in one place. There's like a link with everything they could possibly need to know. You don't have to text every individual person like, ring the bell because my doorbell doesn't work. It's just like all on one place. So I really appreciate that about Partyful. And also I think the design elements of it are really fun, and the way you're able to like customize your invite just like makes it more exciting to send it out. And it does kind of feel gamified social media-ish in a way because it feels exciting when someone has RSVP'd and you see the numbers going up and you're like, oh shit, like I have like 25 people coming to my party, like I feel popular. So genuinely, I have literally been inspired to host events just because I liked the idea of sending out a partyful. I was like, sending out a partyful is so fun that I want to host a party just to do that. Of course, I've still like wanted to host these events, but I think it just like adds an element of excitement. I'm very curious if other people feel this way too, if you use Partyful. And I genuinely feel like I've hosted more things in like the past, I would say like year or two, because of Partyful than I probably would have before. Also with Partyful, you don't even have to individually text the link to everyone. You can like literally just add based on past people who you've been at the same party with or your contacts. So it's just like very easy to mass send out an invitation. That being said, I do think there are some downsides to Partyful culture. The first thing I've noticed is that I think Partyful makes it really easy to be non-committal because there is this third-party interface between the person hosting the event and the person who is maybe going to attend the event. And so I have noticed, I feel like every time I host something on Partyful, everyone who says maybe is absolutely not coming, which is fine. I do that too. But I feel like people don't really feel bad about their lack of commitment because they're communicating it through an app and not to you personally. And I think another reason why too is that because you can send these mass invites without actually directly contacting someone, while it's efficient, it can make it like a little bit more impersonal, so it doesn't really feel like someone took the time to really think of you and say like, oh, I would love for you to be there. It's kind of just like, oh, you're on the name of list with a bunch of other people who I like, but it just doesn't feel as like one-to-one connection. On that note too, like sometimes if I see a Partyful with like a ton of RSVPs, like over 50 RSVPs, even like in the 40s, even if I said yes to it or if I said maybe to it, I'm kind of like, oh, well, they won't notice if I'm not there because it's so many people, which is bad. Like it shouldn't matter who is there. You said that you would do something, so commit to it. Or be honest and say that you can't. I'm not sitting here on my high horse saying I don't do that. The reason why I know is because I'm the person who is doing that. Literally, sometimes there will be like a Partyful reminder of a thing that's like in 2 hours, and maybe I said yes to it and then I don't feel like going. I just change it to like can't go like 2 hours before, which is like honestly not good etiquette, but I see that 100 other people has RSVP'd, so I'm like, oh, they won't miss me, like it's fine. And I don't want to do that anymore. Like I want to be better with my RSVP etiquette. I also think sometimes Partyful can make it feel like a little bit of a popularity contest since your RSVPs are so public. And not that this really matters, but I don't know, you feel cooler and like you have more clout if there's like 50 people RSVP'd to your birthday party versus like 20. That shouldn't matter, but I definitely have felt sometimes when I host things on Partyful, like I literally just want to get the numbers up so it seems like an appealing event to other people. So I want to be like, there's 10 people going and maybe this will make it more likely that other people will come versus like if I actually kept the event very small and contained to maybe just like 7 friends, like I would be concerned that it looks lame because there's not a lot of people. By the way, I honestly prefer socializing in smaller groups versus huge parties. I will still go to parties. I still host parties. Not ragers, not Project X by any mean. But I think something I know about myself is that I just thrive in smaller group settings versus very large group settings. So the next thing I want to talk about is dealing with flakiness. This is a huge reason why people are reluctant to host things because they've been burned in the past, and it never feels good to get a text like an hour before an event where someone's like, oh, I can't come anymore. And honestly, the more you host things, I think the more you sort of expose yourself to flakiness. And the more you put yourself out there, the more you're exposing yourself to it. And I felt that because I have been like hosting more things within the past year and I don't know, reaching out to people, just putting myself out there. I feel like I have been burned. Burned is a strong word. Maybe like singed. I've been singed by flakiness. And yes, it has made me lose a little bit of faith in people, but it hasn't gotten to the point where I'm just like completely resigned from reaching out to people or hosting things. I think the thing about flakiness is that I've realized that the more I'm exposed to it, the more I low-key expect it. So I have kind of changed my expectations and sometimes changed my approach with certain people if I know they're prone to kind of flake. So for example, I hosted a birthday party this year. I had a birthday party this year. I think like maybe 50 or 60 people RSVP'd going to the party. And by the way, I'm a Capricorn. My birthday is December 27th, so I usually never really do stuff for my birthday because it's just like everyone is at home for the holidays. But this year I was like, let me have a party, like let me have a gathering. So I said, hey guys, come celebrate my birthday with me at this bar. And even though I had like 50 or 60 people RSVP yes, in my head I was like, I genuinely think 20 people will show up, and that's just the expectation I have to set. So I won't be mad when every single person doesn't come. So I was very pleasantly surprised when there was like 40 people who showed up. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like so amazing. I feel so loved. So I do think lowering your expectations a little bit can help you be a little less burned by flakiness. I know that might sound bad, but I don't know. It's a way to cope besides just completely shutting yourself off and not putting yourself out there. So that's like dealing with flakiness on more of a large scale party wise. But dealing with flakiness like on a little bit more individual personal level, I've realized that a way to curb this and curb disappointment is to reframe how you hang out with certain people. Sometimes I'll like be like, oh, I really want to go to this comedy show or this movie or this play, whatever. I don't know. I want to go do something. I'll put it on my calendar. I'm like, I'm going to do this thing, but I'll be like, oh, maybe this friend would like this. And then I'll tell them like, hey, I'm going to go see this movie on Friday at 7. Want to come with me? And if they say yes, that's great. Then I have someone to join me. If they say no, it's like, I'm still doing it anyway. Basically just like setting up your social interactions in a way of like, you won't be utterly disappointed if the person can't go anymore. Even to be able to do that, I think you just have to be already comfortable with doing things by yourself. And listen, seeing a movie or like a play or any sort of live performance, you don't really need anyone for that. It's like you're not looking at each other, you're looking at the performance, you know? I think it's perfectly fine and normal. And like if you're not going to the movies by yourself, if you're not going to live shows by yourself, like you should be questioning that. If you're like sitting around waiting for someone to like see a movie with or see a show with, like, don't do that. Go see it. Yeah, but I think it's important to like set up time for you to enjoy things on your own. But sometimes if you just genuinely feel like inviting a friend, it's like you're gonna do it anyway. The opportunity is here for you to join if you want, but the fun and excitement of it isn't hinged on one person. And if they're able to join you, it's just adding to it, the experience. And it's like you still would have had fun doing it by yourself anyway. Also, when I go somewhere by myself, I feel like I'm a lot more inclined to start chatting with random strangers who are there. And you never know, you could always make a new friend that way. I think a good example of this for me is dance classes. I just started going by myself, and after showing up for a consistent amount of time, I started talking to other people in the class and getting to know them, and now I have like 4 to 5 friends just from that dance class alone, and it's just been like a really wonderful experience. And if I sort of just like waited for someone I already knew to come with me, one, I probably wouldn't have really put myself out there and started talking to other people if I had someone to rely on. And 2, who knows if I ever would have found someone to go with me, because honestly, most of my friends that are not from dance class have literally no interest in taking a dance class. So I'm really glad that I was able to do that. The next kind of related thing I want to talk about is that you don't know how to make plans. You don't. A pet peeve of mine is when people say we should hang out, but they absolutely have no meaning or intention behind it. They're just sort of saying it to say it. Because when I say we should hang out, I'm coming with a time, I'm coming with a date, I'm coming with a place. That is a plan. We should hang out is not a plan. And like, let me know when you're free. I also like, don't do that. If you want to make a plan with someone, say a time and a place, because that's all you need. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be dinner. It could be coffee. It could be literally hanging out in your apartment. I really hate this thing of like people saying we should hang out and then nothing ever happens. And I also like hate the thing of let me know when you're free. It's like, I don't know your schedule. You don't know my schedule. Just like give me a time when you're free and I can either say yes or no. I think it just like makes the social friction of trying to plan something so much easier when you already come with an idea versus just being like, what should we do? And I would say this is particularly applies in like early stages of friendship. Like if you're trying to get from the acquaintance to friend pipeline, I would say it's like different if you're already friends with someone or like very good friends, because you just like sort of know each other. There's a general reciprocity. You both have goodwill. But I find like with acquaintances, when they're like, we should hang out, but like never really make a plan, it just like makes me think that they're kind of fake and they don't mean what they say. I feel like I kind of picked this up from my days of like being an intern and asking people for coffee chats, because I learned very quickly that it was much easier to get a response from people if you offered them a time and a place or offered them a few slots versus just asking them, when are you free? Because that just sort of leaves it open for endlessness. Whereas if you're offering something, I think it's like just easier for someone to say yes or no, or here's another time. But when I say people don't know how to make a plan, it doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be trying a new dinner spot. It doesn't have to be going roller skating. It can literally just be like hanging out in the park. Just say, hey, want to go on a walk at 3 p.m.? It's as simple as that. I'm not saying go out to brunch. In fact, I think brunch is one of the most corporate ways that you could engage with your friends. So the next thing I want to talk about is finding a community. I think this can do wonders for your social life. And when I mean a community, I really mean like finding a reoccurring event that you like going to. Something that it could happen every day, every other day, every week, every other week, once a month, biannual, whatever. It's just something that will happen no matter what, no matter who's going. I think one of the easiest examples of this is organized religion, church. A church is going to have service every single Sunday. They don't have RCPs. Like, it's gonna happen. And if you keep on going, you're inevitably gonna see some people that you recognize and have some familiar faces. So I think just like having a reoccurring social event on your calendar can really do wonders for your social life, because it's not dependent on one person. If one person cancels, it doesn't matter. If 2 people cancels, it doesn't matter. If 3 people cancel, it doesn't matter. Like, the thing is still always gonna happen no matter what. I think having those type of events in my social rotation has been really nice, because it kind of just like automates socializing in a way, because it's there and it's likely gonna happen no matter what, unless there's like a blizzard or, well, any other natural disaster. But having things like this is so nice because you don't have to do the effort of making plans. It's kind of just like how life was in high school or college. Like, you really didn't have to put too much effort into seeing people, because you knew that there was a place that you would all be and you would inevitably eventually see them. I feel like planning sometimes can just take the joy out of wanting to hang out with someone, because it's like you just keep on going back and forth endlessly. So it's really nice to have things that you don't have to plan. All you have to do is sort of show up. 2 examples of this in my life are, like I said, going to dance classes that happen every week. And another example of this for me is doing comedy, because I tend to go to the same few open mics every week. And when I first started, obviously I knew no one, and now it's been a little bit over a year now, and basically every time I go to an open mic, I see someone I know, if not like 5 to 10 people I know. It's also really nice because the friends and acquaintances I've made from comedy, like, that is basically the way of hanging out. It's just being like, oh, hey, are you going to any mics tonight? And it's like, you'll see them if they're at the open mic. Like, you don't have to schedule sort of this individual thing, and your whole plan isn't going to be thrown off if they decide not to come, because the event is happening whether they're there or not. And it's really nice to like have that, because I feel like you can be a little bit more spontaneous in these connections, because you don't exactly know when the next time you'll be seeing the person is, but you know it's inevitable because you're doing the same things, you're going to the same places, and you will eventually see them. And I feel like that's like honestly kind of nice. We have so many tools to communicate with everyone in our lives all the time that sometimes it takes out the joy of spontaneity. And I think having these recurring events where it doesn't have to be the same exact people going to it every week, you don't know who's going to come, but you know you'll see a familiar face. And I also think we kind of underestimate the power of acquaintances. I feel like that sounds like such like a sterile, cold word. Like, it doesn't have such a positive connotation. It's like, oh, I don't really know them that well. But I will say there is something about a familiar face. The more you see someone, the more you kind of like them. And even if you don't know them super well, it's just like really nice to see that they're there. It's like, hey, what are you doing here? And I feel like I've made a lot of acquaintances and familiar faces. So just like being able to have a place to go to where you inevitably will talk to someone is really nice. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up now because my camera is about to die, but I would love to know your guys' thoughts below on friendships, the friendship crisis, the loneliness epidemic. If you take away anything, just know that like hanging out with friends, one, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Like just because you want to see your friend doesn't mean you have to like go pay $25 for a cocktail. Invite your friend over for tea, go on a walk, that type of stuff. Let's get back to basics. That is the message. Like let's get back to basics when it comes to social life. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you in my next one. Bye!